Hello everybody, Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. It's Friday, it's the end of our mystery week. Let's make a wreath challenge, and I've got one more wreath card to show you today on the blog. And then don't forget, join me on Facebook on the Stampin' Show and Tell Time with Susan. It's a public Facebook group. You can find me. Just search Pumpkin Hill Stampers and then look for my group that's pinned to the top of my page. And I will do a follow along Friday project there as well. So I kind of do an end of the week summary of all the projects, and then I do one more kind of a simple stamping project that will stick with the theme. So don't forget to join me over there. Okay, so today I'm actually going to make a square card. So I'm doing 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Okay, and if your eyes are really good, you can see that I've already embossed that with the Winter Snow embossing folder. Okay, so I have a light embossing of snowflakes on the front of my card. And then I'm using the Sprig punch, okay, and I'm using 3 different greens. So I went to my scrap bins, and I've shown you before, I put my scraps in these cellophane bags. So I've got Just Jade, Mint Macaroon, and Soft Seafoam. And I've used my Sprig punch, and I was able to punch out a bunch of these just from scrap pieces, so I didn't have to cut any new cardstock. I just used up my scrap. So that's why I always say save your scrap pieces, because, you know, this one that I just punched out of, that's a pretty small piece, right? But I got 2 of that. I could get another one out of there for sure. So I have done my punching at a time, so you don't have to hear my punch chomping along. So I've got 4 of each color. 4 of the Mint Macaroon, 4 of the Soft Seafoam, and 4 of the Just Jade. Okay, now I punched out like 5 or 6 of each because I didn't know how many I would actually use, but I've actually decided kind of ahead of time I'm going to use 4 of each. So if you caught my video from earlier in the week when I used the beautiful bows and I made my circle, I think I used 5 bows to kind of make my circle. So we're kind of going to do the same thing, only we're using the Sprig punch. So again, there's no stamps on this card. It's all going to be die cuts and punches. So I'm going to take my square, right? See if I can put that right here in the center. I'm going to take my square and I'm going to take my punches. Now I've put these on glue dots. I'm going to pull off 1 and I'm going to place it right here at the 12 o'clock position. Okay? 12 o'clock. Now the idea is that if I split my card into 4 quarters and I use 3 of each sprig, I should get fairly even. So I'm just kind of tacking that one there for placement. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to use my Soft Seafoam next. And I'm just going to put this kind of next to and moving along in the arc. And then I'll pull up a Soft Seafoam, and you can tuck it under or tuck it over, whatever. And then I've got that one. Okay, so it just kind of held my place, but I was able to place my other ones sparingly and spacing them out. So I'm just going to repeat that all the way around, and I'm going to create my wreath, and I'm going to try to leave the center kind of open, right, like a wreath would be. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to turn myself. So I'm going to put this one here. Now, one of the reasons I went to a square card this time is that when I was playing with these punch outs at first and trying to figure out my spacing and placement, when I laid it all down, it was okay on my normal size card. But I kind of felt like I wanted to space it out, but I didn't want there to be a lot of white on the bottom, although you could stamp a greeting there. I just kind of wanted to fill the whole space. So that's why I went with a square card for today. Alright, almost done. One more to fill in here. Now, if you wanted to go around again and make it thicker and more full, you could do that, but I'm going to leave mine kind of open and sparse. Okay? Now, the other thing you can do is you can see these all kind of lift up, right? Sometimes people like to go back and tack them down. So you could either put a little dot of liquid glue there and tack it down, right? tack them all down, or you could go back and roll up the glue dots and put them underneath and tack them all down. I'm not going to tack them down today. I'm going to just trust that the person who receives my card will be careful when opening the envelope and not rip it to pieces. Okay, now the next thing I decided to do was I finally bought this new alphabet die. What's it called? It's called Playful Alphabet. So it's got all of these block letters, and then it's also got numbers and symbols. Okay, so I've taken those off their sticky mats and I put them on magnetic sheets that I get at Amazon, and I just put them back in their case to hold them. But what I did is that I die cut out of real red the word joy. Okay, so I'm going to put joy on my wreath this way. Now, let me tell you how I'm adhering these. I'm taking my mini glue dots, and a lot of times on the mini glue dots there's a really wide, thick edge. So I'm just going to come in. These are really thin letters. They're like less than an eighth. So I'm just taking my scissors and I'm just going to trim up this edge to create really thin dimensional. Now, we are selling dimensional sheets now where you can actually adhere your cardstock to them and then die cut right through, and it will die cut your adhesive as well, and then you can just peel and stick. But I haven't purchased those, so I'm going to do it the old standby way. So I have my really thin piece of dimensional here. Now I'm just going to take my letter, and if my hands are steady, I'm just going to line up the body of the J on there. See that? And then I can just take my paper snips and I kind of cut them at an angle just so there's no overhang. And down here I can see it poking out a little bit, so I'm just going to come around and give it a little bit of a shave. Okay, so now my J is popped up. So I'm just going to keep doing that for the Y. I do the body of the Y and then I do the two arms. And for the O, let me just show you on the back of the ones I've done already. Okay, so here's my J. My O, I did it on either side, and then the Y, like I said, I did the body and then the two arms. Now, on the O, I doubled them. So I have two layers. I put one on and trimmed it, peeled off the sticky, and then put another on there because my O is going to go in the middle of my wreath. Pretty handy, right? And then my Y and my J will go on either side, but my Y and my J are going to go on these sprig punches, which already have some mass to them. And when I put my O in there on just one layer, it kind of sunk in, so I really wanted it to pop. So let's go ahead and put our letters down. Alright, so now I'm going to start with the O. So I'm just going to peel off the backer and place my O down. Again, I'm shooting for the center, so that's good that it was open. Then I got my Y and my J. So like I said, you could buy the adhesive sheets if you want to, the dimensional sheets, or you can just use what you already have and back your letters. It just takes a little patience because they're really tiny. Okay, so J, O, Y. Yeah? Good. Okay, so there is our wreath card for the end of the week. Not gonna come off. Okay, so fold it in half, right? Give it a little crease with your bone folder so it really stays closed. And there's my wreath. If you wanted to add a bow or ribbon or twine, you could do that. If you wanted to add rhinestones or emerald and enamel dots, you could do that. I'm just going to leave it nice and simple like this because that's pretty busy all by itself. Alright everybody, so again I just used the sprig punch, I used the playful letters, and I used the winter snow folder to put all that together. So have some fun. You still have a little bit of time if you want to play in the wreath challenge this week. Remember, you can snap a photo and email it to me at susan@pumpkinhillstampers.com. And like I said, don't forget to join me over on Facebook this afternoon for the Follow Along Friday. If you're there, please comment that you're there. Say hello. I like to know who's visiting. And you can always comment here on YouTube as well, and I like to get that. I like to know that you're appreciating the projects and that they're inspiring you to be crafty. All right, everybody, I will see you again soon, and I hope you have a great weekend. All right, bye-bye.